Shalom, 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 everybody.
Shalom. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Glory Light Ministries back once again
Yes,
with a Bible study. Sort of a spinoff of Gideon, but we figured we would cover Moloch
right.
today. See, because he been lurking and he's still lurking
Mm-hmm,
since the start of time, but a lot of people don't understand
mm-hmm.
in what and how. All right. So today we're going I'm not going to do a bunch of introduction and stuff like that, but we're going to introduce him, we're going to explain to him, and then we're going to show you how he's still relevant to this day,
Mm-hmm.
right? So grab your pens, your pads, so you can take notes and go back after this Bible study, and then you can read it for yourself and make sure follow with us. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get our Shema in, and we're going to do the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew, and then we're going to dive right in to
Yes.
Moloch. All right? So if you will, everybody stretch their hands, ready to receive. Shema Yasharala Ahaya Allahaya Nawa Ahaya Akah. Hear, O Yashael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah is one. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodesh Haya Shemka, Ahaya Malakwatka, Taba'a Ratazawanka Haya Isha, Ba Arataza Hawa Haya Ba Shemayim, Latunla Nawa, Lakam Ha Wayam Wasalak Nawa, Chawath Nawa, Hath Salak Nawa, Hawa Ya Nawa, Wala'a Taba'a Nawa Ba Naswayam, Abal Hawash Nawa, Manra Kaya Lakka, Ha Malakwath, Waha Allah, Waha Ta Parath, La Alanyam, Haman.
Amen.
And so be it.
And so be it.
So today, we covered Asherah, Asherah's pole, we covered Baal,
Mm-hmm.
and come to find out through the Bible study, we already know that, aka Nimrod. Through the years, the name has changed,
Mm-hmm.
connected to Tammuz and all this other stuff. So now we're going to cover Moloch, which is another name for Baal.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And he's very prevalent. So if he don't get you idolizing this way, he'll try to get you this way. So us as followers of Christ
Mm-hmm.
and true worshipers of Yahuwah, the Most High,
Mm-hmm.
which is our Adonai, he's our master.
That's right.
Okay. We need to know the wiles of the devil.
Mm-hmm.
This is the whole reason for Ephesians 6 putting on the whole armor, not just not just the helmet and leaving all this other stuff open, but the full armor.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to add there,
Yeah, the
Nabia?
full armor. Because you got to have the breastplate of righteousness.
That's right.
You got to have the shoe with the gospel of peace.
That's right.
You got to have all of that. You can't be, going to battle without all of your equipment.
That's
You got to
right.
be well grounded, ready to go.
That's
You got to
right.
protect yourself, your body, your head, and all of that, and your feet.
Everything.
So everything has to be covered.
That's right. Fully
Hmm.
protected.
Hmm.
So now, as the last Bible study, it was Baal and Asherah, and then we showed you the bull and what they did in Birmingham, England, at the right there in front of your face. Okay,
Plain sight.
plain sight. So today we're going to open up another Bible study on Moloch. So let's dive right in because you know what? We got some good stuff for today. First of all, let's introduce who he is.
Mm,
All right. The worship of Moloch. Section 1. Who was or is Moloch?
mm,
Moloch was the pagan god of the Ammonites and the Phoenicians to whom parents sacrificed their children. Molech,
hmm,
also Moloch,
hmm.
was the national deity of the heathen Ammonites. So, see, that should tell you something right there.
We're heathen.
That's right. This deity or semi-god was not a follower of Christ.
Hmm.
Okay? He was a fire god commonly worshipped throughout the ancient Near East and North Africa by the Canaanites and the Philistines, the Armenians, and Semitic people. Yep, I said it, Semitic. Because instead of the Israelites, instead of the Hebrews changing the heathen and the Gentile, they went along with the plan.
They went the way of the Gentile.
Exactly.
And they were supposed to be the leaders.
And a lot of us today are still doing it, and they don't understand how. We did a segment on the marijuana with Ashura, his consort. Is that the word they use? His consort to Baal and Moloch, Molech. You see? So it's very important that we study this character here. Now, moving forward, there are many different names for Molech. These names all refer to the same false god, spelled in various different ways. Now, here they are. Now, a couple of these you may recognize: Melech, Molech, Milcom, Milhuam, Molech, Molech, Malek, Malik, Malik, Malcolm, Melquat, Melcourt, Milk. Pay attention to that word. Melquat, Coronis, Coronis. Now, Nabia, you know who this guy is, right?
Yeah.
Cronus, Krampus, Christmas.
Same thing.
You see what I mean?
Wow.
This is Moloch, aka Baal.
Wow.
You see? You see how he infiltrated in many different ways? That's why you gotta know the wiles of the devil, because he's got agents everywhere. In Islam, Molech is called Malek or Malik. You see? Meaning king. Believed to be the principal angel in charge of the Hajjanan, the Islamic version of hell. All right. So if Islam know that he's connected to Satan and he's the king of hell, why come these other religions can't seem to figure it out?
They don't want the people, the masses, to understand.
Exactly.
They want to continue to deceive them.
Right. But this is real. This character right here is infiltrating a lot of these religions and a lot of things that we do around the world. And we're going to open up your eyes to that today to discuss this. Molech worship was prevalent among the Canaanites when Israel entered the land. Yahuwah warned against Molech worship. As an abomination, the Israelites were forbidden to practice.
They were forbidden.
They're forbidden. Let's pull to the first precept for the day, Leviticus 18 and 21. Now let's read the precept.
And it was forbidden to practice.
Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 21.
Okay, 18 and 21.
Yes, ma'am.
Be here, okay. I'm here at 19, and here we go.
All right, read.
18 and 21. And you shall not let any of your seed pass through the Moloch. See, they pronounce it in Molech. So
now through the introduction, we understand the meaning of his name. Other than king, he was a fire god. So Nabia, read that one more time and listen to the key word here.
And you shall not let any of your seed pass through the Molech.
Pass through
Molech.
That's right.
That's right. Neither shall you profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. You shall not lie with mankind, as with woman. It is an abomination. So it goes on. Oh.
Yeah, it goes on and on. Wow. We're going to pick that up in just a minute. But Yahuwah says, you shall not pass
through the fire.
Through the fire. Because that's what Moloch means. All right. So now we're going to break that down even more. Well, what do you mean by that, Safar? What do you meaning about the fire? Let's keep reading here. So now we know that it was an abomination. They were forbidden to practice this thing. Now listen, this act was punishable by death according to Leviticus 20 and verse 2. Let's read it, Nabia.
Mm.
Let's turn over a couple of chapters, and let's read Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 2.
And it says, again, you shall not say to the children of Yasharel, whosoever he be of the children of Yasharel, or of the strangers that the sojourn in Yasharel, that gives any of his seed unto Moloch, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones.
All right. So now, further through this Bible study, we're going to do a comparison of then. We're going to show you the area where the people sacrificed to Moloch, and it's still there today. And they're still doing it today, all over the world, brothers and sisters.
They're still doing it.
Still doing it. So now, you know what? Without further ado, here we go. We got articles, we got videos today. So pretty much pay attention here. So we're going to take a pause for the calls, and I want you to read this tune in with us with the child devourer. This is what they call Moloch or Molech. He's the child devourer. Let's pay attention to this first vid here. Let me pull it up for you. One moment. Okay, you ready? 16 minutes. I may cut it a little bit ahead of time, but I want you to understand who this character is. All right? Let's cue it up. Here we go. Let's make sure I got the sound ready to go for you. One moment. All right. I want to make sure you got it here. Okay, here we go.
First Moloch, horrid king, besmeared with blood, of human sacrifice and parents' tears, though for the noise of drums and timbrels loud, their children's cries unheard, that passed through fire to his grim idol. Such are the words of John Milton's Paradise Lost, where the abominable being known as Moloch, or Molech, appears as a fearsome warrior of the fallen angels. Milton describes Moloch as a pro-war devil, a being who, as the fiercest fighter in the war on heaven, was...
I'm going to pause here for just a second, but if you look at this headpiece, you see this a lot in different occults and different, places, magazines and articles. You see this headpiece a lot. So now we know who this headpiece represents, Moloch or Molech. All right?
Was keen to re-engage God and his angels after Satan's first failed attempt. He implores Satan to equip them all with the weapons forged in hell, and dictates that they must destroy God, for if they fail, or if they choose not to fight, given that they'd already been thwarted, then the punishment that God had in store for them would be egregious. With this, they have nothing left to lose, and so Moloch deemed it imperative to take the fight to God, though this was likely because he himself enjoyed the thrill of war so much. In the end, though, he is ultimately overruled, likely on the account that Satan recognized Moloch was more brawn than brain. In the Salambo by Gustave Flaubert, a historical novel about Carthage from the mid-19th century, Moloch is referred to as a god of the Carthaginians, who accepted the offerings of children as worship. Flaubert describes a statue of Moloch as being made of iron, and that he possessed a pair of outspread wings. His arms were so long that they reached the ground, and he had 3 eyes positioned on his brow. He also maintained the traditional bull's head, as frequently seen in medieval art, and his head was...
Okay, I'm going to pause there. So, Nabia, you remember the video that we presented at the games there in Birmingham, England?
Oh, yes.
All right. You see what I mean? Baal, Moloch, all the same.
All the same, yeah.
You see?
Right.
That was a bull. So Moloch is representing It's the same deity,
Mm-hmm.
bull's head, bull's horns,
Mm-hmm.
but everything else is different here.
Right.
But it's the same little g God.
Yeah.
So this is why, we felt like this was important to present this so that we can understand this is part of when a child sacrifice, brothers and sisters, they're still doing it today.
Mm-hmm. And you know the strange thing, look how he has that horn thing coming in this way this time. Instead
Right,
of like the ram horn, like it be the sometime.
right,
But this time it's like a hook coming upward.
right.
You know, people wear those type of earrings on
In
their
their nose.
noses, the bull's ring and
Ah,
noses. And I wonder, do they know that what they're representing when they wear that
sure.
bull ring in their nose, like the
Maybe.
bull? Wonder unconsciously
Right.
that they're being summoned.
I don't know, but that's awful.
Hmm.
So let's just pray that if this is going on, whoever has one of those,
Mm-hmm.
or watch this video and pray and ask the Most High to lead and guide them.
Yes.
All right,
We hope
here we
so.
go.
Was raised as if it meant to go about barking terrible orders.
Cut the cable with Verizon
One
Home
more.
Internet and cut your internet bill to just $25 a month.
I finally cut the cable.
He also explains later in the novel that another statue was brought into the city centre of Carthage, and that it was used in an attempt to calm down a storm that had brought pouring rain.
Mm.
Sacrifices were made before the statue. First grain and animals that were placed inside the statue. But when that did not silence the rain, children were offered next. Flaubert writes, "The victims, when scarcely at the edge of the opening, disappeared like a drop of water on a red-hot plate, and white smoke rose amid the great scarlet colour. Nevertheless, the appetite of the god was not appeased. He ever wished for more." But Moloch's appearance in John Milton's Paradise Lost and Gustave Flaubert's Salammbô are perhaps more fanciful takes on a being who is mentioned only a handful of times in the Bible, primarily in the book of Leviticus, where he is associated again with child sacrifice. Some have determined Moloch as a demon, which is debatable when considering the likes of Moloch from John Milton, or the medieval portrayal of Moloch that saw him depicted as a bull-headed humanoid creature. The very image of this medieval portrayal does connote a typical demon-esque vibe, where we see him frequently stretched over fire, with his hands ominously raised before a sacrificial child. But a more traditionally biblical approach treats Moloch as not so much a demon, but more of a false god, perhaps one of the Canaanite gods. But this idea has since been debated, with some scholars arguing that Moloch was never actually a deity, but instead a ritual known as Melch, which essentially meant sacrifice in the Punic language and the surrounding Canaanite areas. Other scholars propose that the root word Melch also meant to rule, and that this formed the basis of Moloch's creation, though neither of these ideas are particularly substantiated. Amongst these ideas, it has also been proposed by various scholars that Melch translated as to present or to gift, though there is little evidence to support these ideas. Moloch has also been connected to the Mesopotamian deity Melch, or better known as Malik, he who was associated with the underworld as an underworld god. The terms Molech or Mulk were also considered to be a type of sacrifice, that were again closely related to the Canaanites. But yet again, there is little in the way of substance to fully comprehend these terms, or assign them to Moloch. But as far as the Bible goes, Moloch, or Molech, is most certainly identified as a deity. We see this quite clearly in chapter 11 of the first book of Kings, where Solomon is cautioned by God not to mingle with the women of the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Edomites, the Sidonians, and the Hittites, for they all worship different gods, and would corrupt any man who spent enough time with them. The passage reads, "They were from nations about which the Lord had told the Israelites, 'You must not intermarry with them, because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods.' Nevertheless, Solomon held fast to them in love. He had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray. As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of David his father had been. He followed Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. So Solomon did evil in the eyes of the Lord. He did not follow the Lord completely, as David his father had done." So here we see that despite hearing God's warning, Solomon could not resist marrying many of these women, and making many others his concubines. Amongst them, he also married women of the Ammonites, who the Bible tells us worshipped Molech, a detestable god, and that Solomon ended up worshipping him too. We understand that by worshipping these other gods, including the god Molech, Solomon did evil in the eyes of the Lord. And for those of you who have been following the Biblical Stories Explained series, you'll know that the biblical God takes polytheism as a serious slight against him. But in any case, we are able to pinpoint the region in which Molech was worshipped, that being the region of Ammon. However, some have disputed the use of Molech here in the Bible as a scribal error, where the god Milcom is proposed instead.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there because I think you see, because we have other things to present here. But I think you get what we're saying here. This was not only a problem for the Gentiles and the heathens, this became a problem for the Israelites. And it still is to this day.
Mm-hmm.
It's a problem.
Mm-hmm. They're still doing it.
Yeah, even Solomon could not help himself, but he could have if he had been obedient to the word of
And
Yahuwah.
stay connected. He should have stayed connected to the vine, the
Yeah,
true vine. Had he done that, he may not have been misled, because
right.
all that beauty ain't gold. Ain't glitter. All that
Yeah,
glitter. What they say, all that glitter
it's
ain't
not
gold.
go.
So
Right.
those women were so beautiful that he couldn't resist them.
Hmm.
So yeah, he started following it after behind them so
Well,
much.
well, first of all,
Started
he had too
worshiping.
many.
I know. How could a man be
700 wives
100?
and 300 concubines. That's 1,000 women. He
Way
didn't
too
he
many.
didn't even stand a chance. Us men, we barely stand a chance with one. He had 1,000, you know? So
That is
he had
so.
to be a super soldier to change the hearts of these women. You see? So that's why Yahuwah said what? Do not intermarry with other nations
Hmm.
because they're going to ruin you.
Hmm. They're gonna turn your hearts
You see?
away from the Most High. They're gonna make you begin. You're gonna begin to serve after their gods.
Right.
Their many gods. What they call polytheism.
That's right. So this Bible, uh, the NKJV, the
Hmm.
KJV, the cipher, it doesn't lie. When the Most High spoke and inspired, and the Holy Spirit inspired the scribes to write this, it's the absolute truth.
Because you got people doing that today.
Yeah.
Just think. Sometime you can be. You go and you get a person, and you marry a man can meet a woman.
Hmm.
She may be from a foreign
Or
land.
vice versa.
Or
Yeah.
yeah, same thing. They're from foreign land,
Hmm.
different sides of the equator. But yet, and if that's the case, they got different cultures and
Hmm.
beliefs and faiths and things of that nature.
Hmm.
Then they come together and get married. Somebody's gonna follow somebody.
Right. It's one of these are going to be dominant,
Yeah.
So instead of Solomon, he didn't have a chance though.
Hmm.
Just, 700 wives. And imagine, remember the study we did on Astros?
Hmm.
she comes 70 different ways. So
Ways.
can you imagine
Yeah.
all the different little deities that these women and da are coming from all over the place? And then you Solomon, you in the middle.
Mhm.
You see?
Yeah. See, there's so many ways of being deceived and misled, and
Yeah.
to be deceived and misled that it's just so many.
So
So
many.
that's why you have to keep your mind, your heart,
That's
like
right.
David had after God, after the
That's right.
Most High.
That's
He had a
right.
heart after the Most High.
We gotta daily, on a daily
Mhm.
basis, we
Mhm.
got to know our enemy.
Hmm.
We gotta know it. We gotta know that, all right, so Baal came today. Tomorrow it may be Molech,
Hmm.
or Malik, or Milk, or Mo. Tomorrow, the next day, it may be Asherah, then Semiramis, and then you have to know.
Hmm.
And the only way you can know, Navia, is we have to study this.
Hmm.
And we can find all of this in the word.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move forward here
Because
because we
study
got
is just like practicing. Think
yes,
about it. Even in the service and military forces, they have to study about the enemy. They
yes,
have to know which way they're coming,
that's right.
so they'll know how to,
And the best way to
fight.
defeat them.
That's right.
You see?
So, yeah.
So Moloch, the child devourer.
Mhm.
They did this, brothers and sisters, back in Jerusalem, and they're still doing it to this day. And we're going to show you today what that's all about. Section 2. Remember, they said we're going to read it. Now, they talk about the kings that worship Moloch, and it was more than just Solomon. King Solomon, King Ahab, and King Manasseh.
Yeah.
All right. So let's read a little bit of the story of Solomon here. Nabia, you pull up First Kings 5 through chapter 11,
Hmm.
verses 5 through 13.
Okay.
I'm going to get Second Kings. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm going to get Second Kings.
So I'm gonna read out of the cipher.
Yes.
And it says for Solomon
5 through 13,
Mhm.
chapter 11. Go ahead, read.
went after Ashtaroth, uh, the Elohah
Mhm.
of the Tijanesium,
Okay.
and after Milcom,
Uh-huh.
okay, the
Abomination.
abomination of the Amorite. It says, and Solomon did evil in the sight of Yahuwah and went not fully after Yahuwah. See, his heart changed,
Mhm.
as did David, his father. Then did Solomon build a high place for Chemosh, the
Which is the same, pardon
mhm,
me, which is the same as Molech.
mhm,
See?
Chemosh,
Different name. There you
different
go.
name.
Go
The
ahead.
abomination of Moab. I guess that's his
Yeah, that's
name again,
Moab. Yeah.
Moab. Okay, and then it says in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for the Moloch, the abominations of the children of Ammon, and likewise did he for all his strange women. Oh wow, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their Elohim.
Mhm.
And Yahuwah was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from Yahuwah Elohim of Jerusalem, which he had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning these things, that he should not go after other gods. But he did not guard that which Yahuwah commanded. Wherefore Yahuwah said to Solomon, forasmuch as this is done of you, and you have not guarded my covenant and my statutes which
Mhm.
I have commanded you, I will surely rend the kingdom from you
Mm.
and will give it to your servant. Notwithstanding, in your days I will not do it for David your father's sake, but I will rend it out of the land of your
The
son.
hand.
And then it goes on. How about I will not rend away all of the kingdom, but will give one tribe to your son for David my servant's sake, and for
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen.
So as you can see, this is where the split came.
That's when we had the two kingdoms, the
Uh-huh.
North Kingdom and
And
the
the
South
south.
Kingdom.
There you
Because
go.
there was the South Kingdom
Mhm.
was the kingdom of
Judea or
Judea,
Judah.
Judah.
Mhm. and then the rest of the tribes took up the northern kingdoms. But for David's sake, his father's sake, oh no, you gonna get up out of there. But I'm not gonna make David suffer. It's gonna be your child. I'm gonna take the kingdom from you and give it to your child because I'm not this for David's sake. I'm not gonna do it.
Right.
So this is what caused the split. Brothers and sisters, this is how important it is to know your enemy. Now, the question is, did Solomon actually know what he was doing?
Well, I think, just like anything, a lot of times people know, but because everybody else is doing it, they kind of get captivated,
So you think that
drawn
was the case for
into it.
Solomon?
Yeah, because he figured, he was enticed, the beauty, the glitter, remember the fame,
Yeah.
all of that was, playing in effect. And he was becoming popular and famous. So, he figured, he's the king, I can do what I want. It was just that, do as I will type thing too, all in that.
That's pretty rough,
Yeah,
though.
yeah. So he figured, he can get away with that.
I mean, but to hear from the Most High to say, I'm going to take this kingdom from you
I mean, that would have been like
and give it to your
devastating.
son. Yeah, so now let's read another version here. I'm going to read 2 Kings, what is it? 2 Kings chapter 16, 1 through 4. One moment, let me get there. 2 Kings, turn with us, if you will, chapter 16, verses 1 through 4. So now it says, let me know when you're there.
Okay, okay, 16.
All right. So in the 17th year of Pekat, which means Passover,
Passover.
the son of Remaliah, Yahu, Achaz, the son of Yatham, king of Yehuda, began to reign. 20 years old was Ahaz. So King Ahaz was 20 years
He
old
was still young.
when he became king.
Right, very young.
So now we're talking about King Ahab. All right. I'm just reading out the cipher. The names are a little bit different. So he was 20 years old, was Achaz, when he began to reign, and reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and did not that which was right in the sight of Yahuwah Eloheinu, like David his father. But he walked in the way of the kings of Yasharel, yea, and made his son to pass through the fire, according to the abominations of the heathen, whom Yahuwah cast out from before the children of Yasharel.
Which is Jerusalem.
That's right. And he sacrificed the burnt incense in the high places and on the hills and under every green tree. So it went on and on and on. So from Solomon, now Ahab's doing it. But guess what? Ahab took his child and put him in the fire and sacrificed his child to Molech.
His own.
You see?
I mean, and then you see how the enemy does that? How the Lord, the Most High, Christ was our lamb sacrifice, the son of the Most High, your son. And so they tried to imitate by giving up his son to the fire, like, like Christ being giving up his life for the sake of the people.
The enemy had him fooled.
Had him fooled. But see,
had him
that
fooled.
child's not coming back.
No. Not coming back at all.
At all.
So let's read another version here. 2 Chronicles 28, 1 through 4. I got it here. One moment. So King Ahab, he went even further. He took one of his children and sacrificed to Moloch. Now Solomon worshiped, didn't sacrifice any of the children, but now here we come with the next generation, King Ahab, when he became king at the age of 20. I mean, he was real young, right? So Second Chronicles. Chapter 28, 1 through 4.
Yeah.
You got it there, Nabia?
2 Chronicles 24.
I got it here.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so now it says, Ahaz was 20 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. But he did not that which was right in the sight of Yahuwah, like the kings, like David, his father. For he walked in the ways of the kings of Israel and made also molten images for Baal.
He did it. Here he is again.
Moreover, he burnt incense in the valley of the son of Hinnom, and burnt his children in the fire, after the abomination of the heathens whom Yahuwah had cast out before the children of Yashael. He sacrificed also and burnt incense in the high places and on the hills and under every green tree. So I put that precept in there so that you can see, you can go back. He also made molten images of Baal. Same character.
Mhm.
Moloch and Baal, same thing.
You know, right there in chapter 4, he talked about he sacrificed also burnt offerings. See the smoke.
Yep.
There go the smoke, God.
There go
Right
the
there,
smoke.
blowing up smoke. And then
Mhm.
it says in high places, see, go up on a hill. So every high place, you're
Mhm.
going way up on those hills. And then it speak about on the hills and under every
Every
green
green
tree.
tree.
So those hills were called
Asherah.
groves.
Mhm.
That's just like the Asherah's pole.
There you go.
And so that's why the Most High didn't want us, the Christmas tree and
See,
all.
this is the consort.
Oh, okay.
This
He's
is the
bringing it all
consort to
together.
Asherah.
Right. And so now we would go and get Christmas trees
Mhm.
and we would be putting it in our home
Mhm.
and we would, you know what I mean? That's presenting gifts. Oh my goodness. It gets,
Jeremiah chapter
okay.
10, it talks about that.
Yes.
So you can see how you
Wow.
gotta know your enemy.
Mhm. See, so many different ways.
So many different
And then
ways.
here we're as Christians, a lot of us
Mhm.
have been serving pagan gods
That's right.
because, we've been serving on these days, these pagan holidays that we
Mhm.
shouldn't be serving. We shouldn't be worshiping, these pagan holidays, Santa Claus, Saint Nick, and Cronus, Krampus.
Well, believe it or
Those,
not, the Sunday worship is the sun god who is there.
moose,
See what I mean? And who is he connected to? You see,
Baal,
you worshiping Moloch,
kind of
you
weird.
worshiping Baal
Baal,
when you worship on Sunday.
Sunday.
Man,
See, it's a Sunday.
know your enemy.
Know your enemy. That
You see?
wasn't. It wasn't. It was. That wasn't the day. That was not. They set that day, and that's how they did that.
And there was a reason why they
And it was a
did.
reason why.
Mhm.
And back in the, if you think about it, all these archaeologists are finding stones where they
Mhm.
could actually have the hole, and they could peek through the hole to see the sundial and all of that because this was a practice. It was a religious sort of practice, and so
And
they
they're still
made,
doing it.
yeah, and they call it the sundial. And so that day it became the day of worship, Sunday, referring to sundial.
I'm just saying,
Just
all
saying,
of this stuff is fair use, is
fair
accessible
use.
on the,
And you do your
you
own
know,
research.
yeah.
Just continue to do your research
Mhm.
until you find, because the Bible tells us to do that, right? He
That's
says,
right.
seek and ye shall find.
Mhm.
Knock and the door shall be open, ask and you shall receive. He tells us to study ourselves approved. So we need to continue to study it.
Right.
Those people in the Berean, I believe that was the Thessalonians,
Mhm.
they were Bereans. They studied. They really,
Yeah,
really
they
studied.
did.
When you tell them something, they just didn't just take it in and just take it in. They would go back and see what Paul was saying is true.
Mhm.
Let me go get some books out. Let me get some stuff. Let me
Mhm.
research this thing. And you all need to do the same.
And we challenge you to do exactly that. That's why when we
Yeah.
first started, this is Bible study.
Bible study.
It's not preaching.
Uh-huh.
This is Bible study. You have to get the information,
Yeah.
get it, gather it,
Yeah. He
and
said, in
then
all you're
that's
getting,
right.
get
Understanding.
understanding. And if you have not the spirit of wisdom, if you don't have wisdom, ask, and he'll freely give
Free
it
to give
unto
it to
you.
you. Won't cost you a
Yeah,
dime.
it won't cost you nothing. He said, because you have not, because you ask not. So
Yeah.
if you ask not the Lord for wisdom,
That's
then how
right.
you gonna
How
understand
you gonna understand it?
anything?
You see, but first you have to take the first step.
Mm-hmm.
Understand your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're gonna know, oh snap, let me put
Yeah,
this down, put my arm on.
that's
Oh,
right.
they coming like that?
I
Yeah,
need
yeah.
Christ.
Shoo, you got the
I need
armor
the
up.
Shahamashiach. I need
Exactly.
the whole armor and the
Exactly.
whole army.
So King Solomon,
Mm-hmm.
King Ahab,
Mm-hmm.
man, they needed that armor bad. You see, first of all, disobedience, this is what it'll get you.
That's what I get.
Nothing good gonna come
Yeah.
out of it. You know. Now, King Solomon and Ahab, they did repent, but you may get by, but you don't get over. Not on Yahuwah. You see? So it was one more king there, Nabia, and it was Manasseh, wasn't it?
Manasseh?
All right, so
Okay.
let's pull up the precept on him. So Solomon, he just worshiped. Ahab, oh man, you know, he was connected to that girl.
Mm-hmm.
He was connected to Jezebel.
Mm-hmm.
Jezebel
Ahab.
made him just give up the
Oh
children.
yeah.
I mean, you
And that
know,
was in what was that Second King?
yeah,
King.
we didn't put that in there, but this is the same Ahab,
Mm-hmm.
Jezebel and Ahab, same thing. So now Manasseh, here we go. So we went from Solomon to Ahab. Now here's another example, 2 Kings chapter 21, 1 through 9. King Manasseh. Then we're going to move on with some more facts here.
Okay.
21, 1 through 9.
You whoever get there first, get to read.
You got
You
me.
got it. You mean
All
you
right.
got it. You beat
All
me.
right. So, this is a story, a little bit about King Manasseh. He was another one that worshiped Moloch. 2 Kings 21, 1 through 9. And it says Manasseh was 12
A young
12 years
king.
old
Wow. Who's a young
when he
king?
began to reign and reigned 50 and 5 years in
Mhm.
Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Chalistabah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Yahuwah after the abomination of the heathen, whom Yahuwah cast out before the children of Yashael. For he built up again the high places which
That's a hard one.
yes, Yakashiyahu, his father, had destroyed. And he reared up altars for Baal
Mhm.
and made an Asherah pole
Oh wow.
and did Ahab king of Yashael and worshiped all the hosts of heaven and served them. He built altars in the house of Yahuwah, of which Yahuwah said, in Jerusalem will I put my name. And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the two courts of the house of Yahuwah. And he made his son pass through the fire and practiced sorcery and used enhancement and dealt with familiar spirits and wizards. He wrought much wickedness in the sight of Yahuwah to provoke him to anger. He set a graven image of Yasharah pole that he made in the house of which Yahuwah said to El David and to El Shalawah, his son, which is Solomon, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever. Verse 8. Neither will I make the feet of Yasharah move any more out of the land which I gave their fathers, only if they will guard to do the according that I have commanded them, and according to all the Torah that my servant Moshe commanded them.
Which is Moses.
But they hearken not. And Manasseh seduced them to do more evil than did the nations of whom Yahuwah destroyed before the children of Israel. So can you see?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It went from just worshiping, then it went from worshiping to Ahab worshiping and sacrifice, and then Manasseh, my goodness, he did the worship, the sacrifice, he did the sorcery, let's go back and say.
Even went and set up like temples. I mean, he really
inside
inside
altars to Baal inside the temple.
He really went in.
Wow.
He went all in. And some people do go all in. I mean, they do the most, way more than they should.
And you know what? In those temples, in that temple that he made the altar, he took it a step further. You go back up here to verse 6, and he made his son pass through the fire. So he gave up his children.
He sacrificed his children.
And then in that place, he practiced sorcery and used enchantment and dealt with familiar spirits and wizards. So in the temple,
he practiced witchcraft.
That's right. He put up a altar to Baal.
An Asherah's pole.
That's right. And chanted to it, talked to the demons and everything right there in that place.
Right there.
Right there in the temple.
That's right there in the church, in the temple.
Wow.
Same thing.
So not going from glory to glory, but from bad to worse.
And they're doing it now. Think about it. Sometimes people put Christmas trees in churches. They don't know that's Astra's pole.
The
That
reefs on the
symbolize
door.
the reefs on the door. They
We,
don't know what
through
these.
study, we know what that means.
We know what they
The
mean.
female part.
That's right. But they don't know this. They have no idea what they're doing because some people are doing it out of ignorance. Because the Bible does say, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." They didn't know. And out of ignorance, they followed behind the ways, just like I believe Solomon might have followed the ways of the Gentiles. They began to go after strange gods, and because they seen everybody else doing
But
it.
did he like it? I mean, is that the
Yeah.
reason? I mean, I don't. Oh, okay, but you know what? I get it. As a man,
We,
he probably did it to please his wife
you
or wives, because sometimes we do that.
mm,
But I still can't give Solomon a pass.
right.
I can't give
The Most
Ahab a
High didn't. I'm
pass.
sure the Most High didn't give him a
You
pass.
see, and I
Not
can't
on
give
that.
Manasseh a pass. Manasseh went ham, boy.
All in, all in. All
I
in.
mean, my goodness. So can you imagine? You know what? I'll be so scared to hold my head up.
Mm.
I'm going to put an altar to another God in the
In
temple of Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
I'm going to fall to my knees and worship another God in the temple
Of
with
Yahuwah.
enchantments and practice sorcery.
And then sacrifice my child in there too.
And then,
Throw
you
it
know
to
what?
there.
Take
Burn
the
it.
smoke. Here come the familiar spirits. I'm talking to a demon inside the temple. Whoa.
Ain't that something? That's horrifying. And think about it, there's people doing it today
Mm,
in the church. They're doing that in the churches today.
big time.
And some know knowingly,
Yeah.
and some don't know. And they don't understand.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
These Bible studies, brothers and sisters,
Mm.
I suggest, I mean, you have a choice here, like, subscribe, and share, because you don't know how to repent if you don't know what you're repenting for or of.
Right.
You see, we have to know we all have fallen short.
That's right. So that's why you have to ask the Most High to search your heart. Search me, O Most High,
Mm,
and show me where there be any evil in me, so that you can deliver me and set me free. Give him full reign.
man.
But you have to confess and make known to him that you may not know some of the things that you've done that was wrong and
No.
offensive and offended the Most High. You may not have known.
And not even know.
But you've been living this way for so long, you got
Mhm.
accustomed to it.
Yeah.
And so habits are very hard to break.
I mean, you know what? It's nothing to be ashamed of. You know what? Our ancestors did it
Yeah.
way
Way
back
back.
there.
Yeah.
And it was passed on from generation to generation. But now, when you find out,
Mm-hmm.
this is where you break it.
This is where you break.
You sever the head
Yeah.
of the snake.
It stops here. Yeah.
You see?
Because see, we're living in the days now that the Most High is saying that He was pouring His Spirit upon all flesh in these last days. And He talked about how we were going to get wiser, and the books were going to be open. Things that was hidden is
Mhm.
now being revealed.
The information is here,
Mhm.
Nabia.
Yeah.
Matter of fact,
It's revealing.
the information
Time
is in the palm of
revealing.
our hands every day
Yeah.
with our phones.
Mhm.
And I know it's
So
tempting. You
much.
got
It's an information
TikTok, you got
overload.
Facebook,
Technology. There's no reason
no
why
reason.
a person should not know. There's no reason. It's so much technology. It's so much available resources. It's just too much out here for a
Yeah.
person to say, I didn't know. And say, well, what do you mean you didn't know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just too much.
Or
out
did you
here.
not choose to find out?
Right.
You see,
And that's not a good answer.
not a good answer.
It's no excuse because ignorance is still not what? No excuse for the law.
No excuse.
No excuse.
So as you can see, we go back up to the introduction. We find out who this character is.
Mm.
Moloch, Molech. We find out, oh man, he got a
Love.
lot of names.
Musha.
Even milk is named the milk.
Right.
You see? So now we find out, so kings worship Moloch,
Those were
Molech.
kings. Yeah, those were kings.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were higher.
They worship them.
High principalities.
Yeah, and then this guy at the bottom, King Manasseh, oh
Mhm.
man, he just
Something
went way too far with it. You see? So you know what? I encourage you, okay? Go back and read the whole chapter of First Kings, Second Kings, and Second Chronicles.
else.
You see? And then find out what happened to Solomon, Ahab, and Manasseh.
Mhm.
So we already read the if we go back up here, and then we're gonna move on to the next one here. The act was punishable by death according to Leviticus 20 and 2. So we know what happened to these kings. Now the question is, was it generational? After Solomon, was it his son? Was his son's son? It was generational. And I'm gonna tell you, brothers and sisters, this is why you have to pull down all of these strongholds from your ancestors,
Mhm.
because you have no idea what your ancestors have done.
Mhm.
You don't know what type of
Covenant.
thank you,
That's
Nadia.
right. Whatever covenant they may have agreed to
Mhm.
and sort of signed off on.
Right.
You never know.
We don't know.
So since you don't know, you just break and tear every evil covenant that
Break
was
it, tear
that
it
was
down.
set, that was
Mhm.
in order, and now you're tearing it down because you're destroying it.
That's right.
The yokes are destroyed because of the
That's
anointing.
right.
Christ is the anointing.
Yeah.
Yahusha. So because
That's
you
right.
accepted him and you're connected
Yep.
to him
Yep.
and his bloodline, you
Mhm.
can break all those curses and tear them down, pull down every stronghold, every curse,
Mhm.
pull it down from your ancestors'
Mhm.
bloodline,
But you
and
have
just
to
let it
say
go.
it.
Yeah, you have to
You have to
speak it.
say it. You
You
have
got
to
to speak
speak it.
it. Mhm.
You see?
And then you're covered under the blood. You're
That's
covered
right.
under the blood.
And that's what
Therefore,
power
no
is.
weapon formed against you shall prosper.
Mhm. And any
Mhm.
tongue that rises
Mm-hmm.
against thee to condemn it, he shall condemn it.
Mm-hmm.
See, the power is right here. So now, these last 3-4 weeks, we've been studying something that's real important.
Important.
This Baal worship, Moloch worship, and Asherah
Mm-hmm.
is going on now. We got to stop it, brothers and sisters.
Yes.
It has to stop.
Because it's getting real crazy. I mean, the people are they're, they're really invoking spirits when they begin to worship these entities.
I'm telling you. Let's move forward. I got an article here, and it's called The True History of Moloch, the Ancient God of Child Sacrifice, by Marco Margaritioff.
On your tee off.
Yeah, so let's take a look at this article here. I found some things in here that was very interesting. And as you can see, right here at the beginning, the true history of Moloch, the ancient god of child sacrifice. All right. So I'm gonna read just a little bit of it. You can pull this article up here yourself. So throughout antiquity, sacrifice might have been utilized in times of great strife. Let me put the glasses on here. We're gonna stroll through this just a little bit here. All right. So now, first of all, right at the beginning, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It says perhaps no pagan deity was reviled as Moloch, a god whose cult reportedly sacrificed children in a furnace set inside the belly of a bronze bull. All right, that was the image that we saw there, Nabia, with the 7 slits up here. This is where they put the children, and then the fire was hot. So now his hand is stretched out. I got another image of it, stretched out, giving sacrifice through the statue. All right. So right here it says the coat of Moloch or Molech is said to have boiled children alive in the bowls of a big bronze statue with the body of a man and the head of a bull. Offerings, at least according to some inscriptions in the Hebrew Bible, were to be reaped through either fire or war. And it's rumored that devotees can still be found to this day. All right. This is a recent article here. So now there's the image. There's the image there. You see down there at the bottom here, there was the fire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you put the children here. And as the scripture says, they disappear like the raindrop. So who is Molech and who prayed to him? Let's go through this one just a little bit here. I want you to see the image. Let's stroll down a little bit more here. Now, although historical and archaeological communities still debate Moloch's identity and influence, he seems to have been a god of the Canaanites which was a religion born out of the combination of ancient Semitic faiths. All right, let's show here. We're going to skim through this here. So now, the cult of Moloch is believed to have been practiced by the people of Levant region from at least the early Bronze Age. An image of his bullish head with the children burning his belly persists until medieval times. So they did this for quite some time here.
Quite some time. You
Right.
know, there was different ages, so
That's
many
right.
different times. So then even in the medieval,
Right.
they kept doing it, and then up until today. Now this is modern terms,
Right.
and they're still doing it.
Right. So a little bit more history. His name likely derives from the Hebrew word Molech, which usually stands for king. Now that's a little k, brothers and sisters. There are also references of Moloch, an ancient Greek translate of old Judaic texts as well. These date back to the Second Temple period between 516 BC and 70 CE, before the Second Temple of Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans. So we know that's CE, I guess it's the same as AD, when the Romans went in and took over Jerusalem. So they've been doing this for a while. All right. Now here is an image. These are stone slabs in the Tophet of Salamabu, which was covered by a vault built in the Roman period. This is one of the Tophet's Carthaginians, which sacrificed their children. So they also did this in tombs.
Right. They would go into the caves, tombs, and
You
stuff
see?
and do it.
So now here's the altar.
They
Right
built
here.
that, and they put it right there.
You see?
Put the kid right there.
So
Put the child right there.
exactly. So
His
if they
main
didn't do it
sacrifice.
in
In the high places in the grove,
right,
they would go into the caves and do it. So,
exactly.
wow.
Now this is still stands today, brothers and sisters. You can go visit this place. I mean, I wouldn't, but it's there. Here's proof that child sacrifice has been going on for a long time and still is. So here we go. So let's read this little part. Passages in Kings, Isaiah, and Jeremiah also refers to a Tophet, which has been defined as both a location in ancient Jerusalem where there was a special bronze statue eternally heated by fire, or the statue itself, into which children were apparently thrown in for sacrifice. All right, let's keep going here with this article. You can also pull this article up too. That's why I put highlighted it there. So you can pull this
so
up
you
here.
can go back and do some research and read further on. We're just giving you little highlights
Right.
here and there. But yeah, you can, these are some information that you can go back and do your own research, and
Right.
it's readily available in different bookstores and libraries and of that sort.
That's right. Now see, here's another statue. Back in the day, they made this one look a little bit different. Now, this one right here depicts what the scripture says. So they heat it up here, and there's the stretched out hands, and this is where the children were sent, and they disappeared like raindrops. So the image Moloch was bronze, and as you know, metal gets hot. So they heated it up, and then there you go. You put the child there, and it disappears. And not only are they sacrificing their children, they bowing down to Moloch. Abomination. Here we go. I wanted to show you guys that. Now, not only is Moloch depicted as, here we go, ancient culture, he was a man's body, bullhead. Today, he's depicted as an owl. Now, Sister Nabia has a story about some owls. I don't know if she want to share it, but
Not today.
yeah, not today. But this is very important that you pay attention to this. So now let's read a little bit of this right here. So the ancient practice of child sacrifice found renowned footings with medieval and modern interpretations. So it says a depiction in modern culture and dispelling the Moloch owl. So now see how they change it up? So it went from, looking like a bull and a man to an owl. See?
switching it up a
You
little
see?
bit. That's just deceptive.
Let's see here. And pay attention to that because we're going to touch on the owl today.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And they said that the owl represents wisdom, sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
So what they were doing is, as the times are getting more closer to the return, people are getting wiser. So
Right.
let's use the wise old owl and go and trick them like that.
Right.
You know, instead of the bullhead
Exactly.
stubbornness, let's
Right.
go for the wise owl.
Right. Right. But it's the same thing. It's Moloch
Mm-hmm.
or Molech.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So there it talks about the owl.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, you can find this article, fair use. It's out here on the internet. And there's another depiction there. Now, brothers and sisters, this statue is in Rome. It's in the Colosseum. Right? It says it right here. Most recently, an exhibit celebrating ancient Carthaginian popped up in Rome with a golden statue of Moloch placed outside the Roman Colosseum in November what?
2019. Just recently.
Just a few years ago, and it's still there.
Mm.
It serves as a memorial of sorts to the defeated enemy of the Roman Republic. And the version of Moloch used was purportedly based on one Pastorion used in his film. All right, down to the bronze furnace into his chest. So as you can see, brothers and sisters, now that was now let me read this to you. Hang on, because this is part of it. However, it seems to be based on enormous conflictation between the Moloch bull Tophet and the Bohemian Grove owl Totem, perpetuated by notorious huckster Alex Jones. Now, if anybody know Alex Jones, I don't know if you guys been doing research, but this is the reporter that supposedly exposed what go down in Bohemian Grove, and we got a couple articles on that today to do as well. So this is where transformed from the old thing from Moloch, the way he looked back then anciently, to now. But they still doing the same thing. So let's read a little bit of this here. However, okay, while conspiracy theorists will continue to claim it's no conspiracy, but if that's what you want to say, while conspiracy theorists will continue to claim that this is yet another reviled occult symbol of child sacrifice still in use by covert elites, the truth may be less dramatic. All right, well, at the end of this Bible study, we're going to show you some things and some more articles here. So as you can see, this was an article by, I love the way Bible study, how you can take the Bible and bring it to life. This was an article by Marco Margitoff.
Yeah, Margitoff.
Margaritov. All right. So you can look this up. This was published October the 2nd, 2021. Updated August the 19th, 2022. This was just last year.
Right. So
You
it's
see?
not like it's old articles. These are pretty new.
Exactly. So let's do our homework here. So everything we just read from King Solomon to King Ahab to King Manasseh, and during the introduction of Moloch,
look at here.
It's right here in an article. He's the ancient god of child sacrifice. All right, let's move forward. Got a couple more little things. So you remember when we talked about Navia, we talked about the valley of Hinnom, you know, where they used to go and take, if you can see this picture here, where they were
in there.
Right. So it was a place in Jerusalem where they actually went. All right. And I want to share this video with you because this lady, Susan Schmidt, she's walking the land in Jerusalem, south of Jerusalem, where they had this statue set up where they made sacrifices. One moment here. Let me show you here. Let me get it pulled up. One moment. So this is Hinnom Valley and child sacrifice of Baal worship, aka Moloch or Molech. Same thing. All right. All right. Let's cue this up. Pay attention to this. Now, this is Hinnom Valley This is the picture that I showed you in the last little article
Mhm.
with the hand stretched out and the fire upon it. This is where they kept this statue, and this is where people went to sacrifice their children south of the city. All right, let's cue up here.
The Valley of Hinnom, or Gay Hinnom, flanks the south end of the old city of Jerusalem. Its namesake became the precursor of Gehenna, or Hell, and for a reason. It was here, in this uncharacteristically grassy and idyllic valley, that the children of Judah committed an abominable practice. During the reign of King Manasseh, the prophet Jeremiah records that the people passed their children through the fire in sacrifice to the Canaanite deity Molech.
Still there.
God strictly forbade the children of Israel to worship pagan deities or to pass children through the fire of the Tophet. As Abraham was about to sacrifice Isaac, God said, "Lay not your hand upon the lad." The ancient Phoenicians practiced this cult in Carthage. While excavating that Tophet, archaeologists found the bones of thousands of babies under the age of 3 months in jars beneath these markers. Child sacrifice appeased Moloch to gain personal prosperity. The people of Judah forgot the God of Israel, adopting other pagan deities to their own depravity. They did evil in the sight of the Lord. In the meantime, God sent the prophet Jeremiah to warn his people. As the potter with the clay, God yearned to mold them, but they resisted, and they were spoiled in his hands. Even then, though, there was hope. They wouldn't repent, and God said, "They have filled this place with the blood of the innocent and have built the high places of Baal to burn their sons in the fire as burnt offerings." God commanded Jeremiah to throw a clay jar against the walls of the same valley in the sight of the elders. Thus says the Lord of hosts, "Just so shall I break this people and this city, even as one breaks a potter's vessel which cannot again be repaired." Permanently broken, Judah was unmoldable, and shortly thereafter, Jerusalem fell to the Babylonian Empire and the people were deported. In New Testament times, the Hinnom Valley was the waste dump of the city for garbage and carcasses. In the spirit of this place, after Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, he went to hang himself here in the Hinnom at the potter's field. Aptly named as the Field of Blood, the modern monastery of Akeldama marks this location. Today, as this modern world changes, the biblical mandate still holds not to sacrifice the innocents for the sake of personal welfare and perceived security.
As you see, brothers and sisters, this place still remains, and it's still there. So now the children of Judah, the tribe of Judah, the children of Israel, the Israelites, the Hebrews, were not supposed to take a part of this. As you can see, when you saw the picture of the ship,
Mm-hmm.
that ritual came from somewhere else.
Right.
So some of these other people brought this across the water
Mm-hmm.
to Jerusalem. And how could you just imagine? And today we don't call it that. We call it abortion.
Mm-hmm. Some people, yeah. And that's not no. Some do it unaware, not knowingly. That's why you have to, once you get this knowledge, this newfound knowledge, you have to repent and never to,
That's right.
to take part in that again.
Right.
You know.
You sacrificing your child
Mm-hmm.
to the same God modern day.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like you giving it up because you are making a sacrifice. And sometimes people look at it like, well, I can't take care of this child, so or I'm not prepared or I'm not ready. It's whatever it may be, but it's a human being, it's a life we're giving up because
Right.
we want to live our life and do what we need to do or want to
Yeah.
do. So we rather give that up. So that would be the
Yeah.
same as anything else. It's a sacrifice. You
Yeah.
made a sacrifice.
And you know what? Think about it. Most of the time, south of the city or any major city that you go in
Mm-hmm.
is the trash dump.
Mhm.
You can find the trash
Yeah,
dump there.
because one over in I don't we went to go make
Yeah.
a dump, up to the trash
They
dump.
made us go
They said,
on the hill this time.
oh,
Oh,
I know. We had to fit
Navia couldn't take it.
contractors.
Yeah.
And so I went with my husband. I'm sitting in the truck, and then we're getting up the hill. I'm like, hey, man, wait a minute. This don't smell good up here. I don't like this place. We got to go. And I was mad. I said, open that door. And I was just a princess.
Yeah.
I didn't like that place. I don't want to go up the hill.
We was in the valley of Hinnom.
That was the Valley of Hidden. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
I was like, hurry up, get up out of here. Didn't like that. Oh.
Yeah. It's on the south of the city.
And I don't see how people can work up there with no bricks going on.
Oh my. Navia just had a flashback.
I mean, it's PTSD right
Yeah.
there.
So can you imagine going to the Hinnon Valley
Mm-mm.
as they were sacrificing these children, and then the trash is out there too?
Mm-mm.
Oh my. Oh my. All I can say. Section 5. Here we go. Now we talked about Bohemian Grove, which is in San Francisco, California. So now Moloch worship today.
Mm.
And we're gonna wrap this thing up here. Our nation leaders worship Moloch at Bohemian Grove. Remember the owl,
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco, California, and they are the ones
Mm-hmm.
who legalized abortion in 1973, Roe versus Wade. And tens of millions of Americans are sacrificing their children on the altar of abortions. Now, are Americans in reality offering up their children to Satan?
as a sacrifice?
Question mark. I'll let you tumble with that one.
Mhm.
So you take this information and you ask yourself, after gathering the ancient information, and you ask yourself today, is that what it is? And
Mhm.
these are the people that sacrifice the owl,
Remember,
that worship the owl.
right? Because it's different eras. Remember, it talked about
Exactly.
medieval age,
That's right.
the iron,
In the Dark Age, the
bronze
the
age,
Iron Age.
right?
And now what was today? Today's age?
Because it was ancient Babylon and all that, but this is
The modern age.
Modern. This is the modern times.
You see?
In which we live in. So this is the modern age. So now this is another age.
So when
They're
a
doing
woman
little
do that,
different, but the same.
the same, are they sacrificing their children to Satan?
Unknowingly, sometimes they know that it's murder, but they don't want to admit that. Of course, people
Right.
don't want to admit that when they have an abortion, it's really murder. It's what it is.
So you ask
They-
yourself the question:
you're
Is
making a
is
sacrifice.
Moloch worship still going on
It's
here?
still going on. It's still going on.
The fact of the matter is that the leaders. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because I know they were saying something about I read an article a while back, I believe, and it was about they said that outside those abortion clinics were witches.
Well,
They
of
were
course, that would be the perfect place to be.
they
That's
were
where all the blood
witches.
is.
And so yeah.
Yeah.
So these innocent blood, these children that were sacrificed of innocent blood, and they would get real deep. They would take their blood and keep the blood of the innocent children to drink it, to sell it to drink, so they can begin to stay useful.
Well,
young.
Nabia, just like the power's in the blood of
Crazy.
Christ, see, the enemy gets power from the innocent's blood.
All of that. So people do that kind of stuff too. So just, you need this information so you will know and be aware of your surroundings and what can be happening around you, so you would know what to do and who to call upon in times of need and trouble.
So, the couple weeks ago, we did the Bible study on Baal.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of found out, oh, this is the same cat, Moloch. So you go from worshiping and bowing down. See, this is how they get you in. I want you to get you into this. You're gonna bow down to this image. Then I'm gonna get you to making a molten image so you can take it home with you. You're gonna do it right here. And now I'm gonna get you to sacrifice something to me. You see?
Yeah. So, and you got to be careful, because even, objects and things like that, mold and images and
Yep.
stuff. That's like, even earrings are nose ring with the bull nose ring.
Hmm.
People got to be careful. I mean,
Hmm.
they don't know. They think it's just a fashion statement,
Right. Well, it's a
and
statement, all right.
they look at it like that. But who gave you that idea? Are you
Where
going
did it
by?
come from?
See, think about it. Solomon was going ways of the
Hmm.
heathen, and whatever they did, apparently he said, "Okay, I worship your God and do what you guys do." So when you people began to say, "Well, I like the way she got that in her nose.
Hmm.
I think I'm gonna try that," and they'll do it. So they go the way of when they see somebody else do something, they try to pattern behind it.
Hmm.
So I can easily see how
Well,
you
let me
can.
give you an example, Navia. When you put that, it, all right, to
It's a hook in your
control,
nose.
this is where they
Mhm.
hook the leash.
To the
And
bull.
anywhere you pull that rope,
That's what the
it's
bull.
hooked on that. That's where the bull gonna
Mhm.
go. This is
So
how you
so
can
this is a,
control.
this is a control, spiritual control
Hmm.
that in your nose. So you may not see that you're on
Hmm.
a leash. You don't see it because it's invisible.
Hmm.
It's spiritual.
Hmm.
So and you're carnal. So
Hmm.
since you're carnal, you wouldn't understand the spiritual
Hmm.
what is that word?
Implications.
Implications of that.
Hmm.
So therefore, you just living day by
That's right.
day, don't even know that you've been pulled here and there
And the
under
images
control.
at the 420
Uh-huh.
festival
Mm-hmm.
where they were smoking
Yeah,
marijuana
they
to
had that hook.
Asherah,
They had that hook ring.
the consort,
All
it all
over.
goes
They all
together.
together.
You
You
see?
see so many of them with
Yeah.
that hook ring, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, whoa, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they did not even know.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know. They just thought, oh, this is a fashion
Mm-hmm.
statement.
Everybody else got one.
Everybody else got one. I'm gonna get me one too.
Right.
You know, just they figured.
Good information, brothers
Mhm,
and sisters. So now you can see now this Roe versus Wade, and when a woman goes and get that done,
mm,
and hey, are you making a sacrifice to Satan? Yes or no? You
mhm,
answer that.
That's a yeah.
All right. So now the fact of the matter is that the leaders who legalize abortion do worship Moloch and do offer burnt offer human sacrifices to him every year
Yeah,
at Bohemian Grove. Now, remember, we broke the word grove down.
yeah. You know what that is.
You see, we broke it down
Mm-hmm.
last week. So now, check this out. Little quick clip. Pay attention here. A little bitty quick clip here I got for you on the Bohemian Grove. So we know Grove, we broke down what that meant last week, right? And then we know what the owl is, right? Pay attention here. Let's cue this up for him, Nabia.
Mm-hmm.
Pay close attention, brothers and sisters. Don't blink.
Fair use.
Fair use to all the videos here.
Somewhere down there in the dense forest of Northern California is Bohemian Grove, an exclusive retreat set over 2,700 acres. It's owned by the elite men-only Bohemian Club. You've never been there, and you probably
Pause it
never
here.
will.
Are you noticing something?
Mm-hmm.
You noticing the owl?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see it?
Yep. They see it.
Fair use.
It's not for you, it's for them. Strange things have been going on at the Grove for over 150 years. Every July for 2 weeks, the elite of the elite turn up and do stuff in secret. The gathering starts with the burning of a human effigy, a ritual known as the cremation of care.
Some guy brings over something it's an effigy that's supposed to be a body, a wrapped up effigy. It's also a bunch of sticks in a blanket, but it's like shaped like a body.
Yeah.
And then they drop it on the fire, and they're all worshiping an owl god.
This sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's actually happening. Some of the world's richest and most influential people turn up every year and burn a human effigy in front of a massive owl. What is going on? It's hard to know because the gathering is so secretive.
But for the most part, stories about what happens in these redwoods are hard to come by.
A campground statue reminds Bohemians to keep their mouths shut about the grove.
The camp is also guarded all year round by ex-military types employed by the club. It's impossible to get past security, with one or two famous exceptions, America's so-called greatest conspiracy theorist, Alex Jones, is one of them.
From there, we posed as Bohemian Club members, thus entering the inner sanctums of the New World Order. We had sheriff's deputies, Secret Service, you name it, question us on who we were. We just told them we were with the hillbillies. That's where the bushes stay.
If the conspiracy theorists are right, there's a real problem here. The rich and powerful are doing weird, sick things in a forest while working out how to run the world.
Have you been there for the ceremony with the cremation of care?
Frankly, I don't think that's something I need to talk to you about.
Really?
That's right.
Well, I'm Alex Jones, and I snuck in there in 2000.
Well, thank you,
ever
and goodbye.
been in the ritual?
It's none of your damn business.
It's enticing to believe the people at Bohemian Grove are up to no
The
good.
horns they're throwing up
But
with the fingers.
there is a more innocent explanation, apparently. Quite simply, the club provides a retreat for stressed-out high achievers to get together and let off a little steam. They're following in the footsteps of the club's founders and early members, actors and artists and writers, including the renowned American author Mark Twain. The club's motto, "Weaving spiders come not here," suggests no business talk is allowed. It's simply 2 weeks of fun and games, like putting on plays and lakeside talks. But even if you believe that, there are still some weird anachronistical elements. No women are allowed to be full members of the club, and no women are even allowed to work at the Grove. And no one's allowed to talk about what goes on there, and no press are invited. And so it's left to the so-called conspiracy theorists to explain or to speculate, depending on your point of view.
The world's most powerful men gather for a men's retreat inside the Grove. It's been rumored that Alan Greenspan was chosen to be nominated as the chairman of the Federal Reserve after a meeting in the Grove, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's successful bid for governor of California was given the green light by insiders in the Grove as well. And there's even a famous photo taken in 1967 showing Ronald Reagan, then governor of California, and Richard Nixon, who would be elected president the following year, sitting next to each other where they are said to have coordinated their political careers.
So you tell me.
Little coincidence.
Right. Conspiracy theory or truth? Why is the symbol an owl? Why are you burning the infantry? I bet it is an infantry. I'm sure it is. You see? And this is the same organization that legalized Roe versus Wade and made all of that legal in 1973. So do your homework.
You study, do your research.
You see? So it went from statue down to Jerusalem. Now it's now. Yeah. And these represent evil. I mean, it is what it is. That's what it is, brothers and sisters. It is what it is. So now, a couple more things here I'm going to share with you here. Nabia, you want to add on to that video?
No.
Anything you want to add to that? I mean, it's in plain sight there.
Yeah. I mean,
And that's fair use. It's out there.
Right. It's out there. Everybody.
It's out there on YouTube. It's nothing that we made up.
It's circulating.
Yeah.
People are actually looking for knowledge on this. They're understanding. They're getting it. It's not hidden anymore.
The worship of
books
Moloch.
are open.
They open. And people are starting to wake up.
They're waking up all over.
You see?
So
I got three more. I got three more little clips here. And I got these here off of TikTok.
oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It's out there.
It's out there.
Even the young people
young
are
people.
starting to wake up, brothers and sisters. Here's one. TikTok. I've been studying. Let me pull this up here. One moment. See if I can get it. There it is. All right, now listen closely to this now. And read the top. I don't want to say it, but read it and listen. Check this out.
But a huge part of it is just like there's a lot of people, just voters, who don't want there to be gun restrictions, and a lot of them live in Texas. And the degree to which, like, this thing that we have, that we see, where we make the sacrifice to Moloch, you know, every so often, is a deal with the devil that it seems to me that, like, a discomforting number of people are okay with.
Did you get that? Stop that. Did you catch that, brothers and sisters?
I wonder why he said that.
But I'm saying that's what I'm letting you know. Even they know what that is.
Right. Even the news people.
They know exactly what that is during the
Yeah.
mass shootings. He said every now and then.
Every now and then.
You see?
Something. Wow.
The child sacrifice. Got another one. Check this one out. Now that was what was that? Was that Fox News? CNBC or something like that.
I don't know. It's one of those news stations. I'm trying to go back to it. Just kind of brief.
You want to play? Let's play that one again.
One more time.
One
I didn't get that.
Let me go back here. Let's go back. I think I messed up when I did that.
Ah, okay.
Hang on. Yeah, I messed up because it went to the other one.
Yes.
Let's see if I can go back. Yeah, I can't.
Can't go back.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't go back. But that's just an example how they talking about this on the news. Now pay attention to this other one. Child sacrifice to Moloch. Now this is something else that they're talking about. Listen to this. This was a film back in 1914. Look at the people going into the belly. Pause here. You see the child that she's holding in her hand? The belly opens up. This is a silent film back in 1914. She's putting the child in. There's another one. Deuteronomy 12 and 31. Let's read that, Nabia.
In that way.
Go ahead, read it, Nabia.
You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way. For every abomination to the Lord which he hates, they have done to their gods. For they burn even their sons and daughters in the fire to their gods. Deuteronomy 12 and 31.
All right, let me we got a little bit left on this one.
Abomination.
Yep.
It's an abomination. Rightly so.
So the question is, how long do our Creator continue to deal with the disobedience?
With the disobedience of the people.
And the worshiping of other deities and other gods besides him. Exodus 20. We're going to get to the conclusion in just 1 minute. One more video to show. Now, that was a silent movie that they made back in 1914.
1914. Wow.
We took you to Bohemian Grove. Effigy. I bet it is a bag of sticks. Well, if that's what you want to say, you know. But the enemy doesn't deal with effigies. He deals with real things. One more. And then we're going to wrap up this Bible study here. One more here, Nabia. One more on the Moloch worship. And this is all modern stuff. Let's see. Here it is. Oh, you really can see it now. Now pay attention to this one, brothers and sisters. Let me cue it up. And go.
The Bohemian Grove. Right, this is where they go for those rituals, those sacrifices that he just talked about. Right? He even talked about the pedos, R word, and the little kids for the energy, sacrificing folks for energy. And this is what goes on at the Bohemian Grove, this big ass owl that they worship. That's why you see Drake, he got the tattoo of an owl on his body. Then he got the OVO, the owl. They worship an owl god. Moloch is different forms. Moloch is in the form of an owl and a bull. The form of the bull is what you seen at Travis.
Did you hear that? Now he about to say what was at Travis Scott's video. Listen up, brothers and sisters. We're not making this up. This is all information that's out there.
Scott concert. with that mouth opening up and all those people walked in, they was accepting whatever happened to them after they walked in. But this is the owl god that they worship. Justin Bieber with the owl tattoo on his arm, right? Even in Snow White, they just put it so slick, right? Got the owl on, like embedded into the steps. They showed this in the Disney movies that they worship this owl god, right? Even in the chair, they put it embedded in the chair. All these animals, and you couldn't just put the owl flying like the rest of the animals, but you had to let us know that it was something different about this owl than the rest of these animals right here. So that's why they put it, that's why they hid it in plain sight, right? Even on the back of the dollar, or no, the front of the dollar. The front of the dollar, you can see an owl in the corner. They showing you who they worship. The U.S. Capitol Hill building in Washington, D.C. If you look at the U.S. Capitol Hill building from an aerial view, it shapes the form of an owl. And this is what Prodigy talked about in his songs. Yeah, you can see the wings too, boom. You can see the wings. You can see the wings of the owl. You know, the superb owl. Not the Super Bowl. It's the superb owl that everybody watches, that the world watches, the most televised event on television that everybody watches every year. It's the superb owl. But come on, man. All these different people, you gonna always just see them. They just happen to have owls. Ludacris with the owl. Ron Artest with the owl. With a stuffed animal with the owl. The Control Opposition. Russell Brand with the owl. Harry Potter in the movie, it was the owl. Now on another song, The Prodigy, he also spoke on this back in the 90s. He been talking about this for years. He even said Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body. Secret society, trying to keep their eye on me. But I'm staying incognito in places they can't find me. Make my move strategically like the G.O.D. So he been talking about this for years.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Prodigy, he's no longer with us to his demise. And I'm not going to say what happened to him because I really don't know, but I just got to imagine what did. As you can see, Satan had the same Satan, but he had to switch it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so all right. So now they own to the bull and the babies like that. So now I got to come over here and do it like this. Yeah, and I've got to put my people in place to get the blood. And then y'all I need everybody to meet up at this place every year because I need to tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
Just saying.
So now, ask yourself this. Understand me this. Is Moloch worship still prevalent to this day? You see, it's all in the music industry. It's in healthcare. It's in the schools. And it's on your job. It's in your currency.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all over the bank.
Mm-hmm. Government buildings.
Everywhere.
Mm-hmm. It's in even sororities and stuff.
Thank you.
They worship that owl.
Part of the Divine Nine.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for the HSBC. I always get that wrong.
You said HSBC.
HSBCUs, the historically black colleges. Yeah, this is what this is all about. It's so many avenues, so many ways.
Yeah.
All right, well, you don't want to read these ancient books. I'll tell you, then I'll put it right here as this.
Plain sight.
And then I'm going to have you listen to this person's music because I'm controlling him. Mm-hmm. So if you don't believe the bull, okay, then let's do the owl. They won't suspect that. If you're not woke, you won't.
Of course not.
You see?
See, we live in an age of two different ages. Modern time is really about information.
That's right.
And deception. So which one are you want to grab a hold of? Deception or information?
But then the Most High said information would increase.
It said that.
Right at the end.
Wisdom will increase, greatly.
There you go.
But we in this modern age time where either you can be deceived or you can receive and be knowledgeable, have the wisdom that you need to move strategically, so freely.
These are the points of these Bible studies, and this is why Yahuwah gave us the name Glory Light. We're going to shed the
So
most
light on
glorious
it.
light on this situation, on, like we take the women in the Bible, we take characters in the Bible, we take things that try to deceive you, and we break it down, but it's not what we think.
You're right. It's
Right here.
well, it's
Show it to them,
yeah.
Nabia.
You can study.
Right in the word.
Get in the word. Yeah, and
It's
all
right
you're
there.
getting, get understanding. And also when you find out information, go back and see if it witness in the word.
That's right.
This is the ultimate right here.
Right
It's
there.
the word.
Right there.
Yeah. So whatever you do, you can read all the books you want, but cross-reference it with this.
Yeah.
Bible.
Let me tell you,
Cross-reference it.
you can get lost. Got your computer, a cup of coffee,
Yes.
3, 4 different types of Bible, a pen, a paper.
3, 4
Get on the internet and just
It's like, I mean, you can just be out there on the deck on your porch and you just be reading and studying, drinking your coffee,
gathering
just
information.
information. You be so excited because it's so much. It's the world of informational world that we live in. And it just, the more you get to knowing and understanding these things, and it's like shining light in the light bulb in your head, and then it just becomes so glorious because now you have this information and the truth will make you free. Because see, you don't want to be in bondage all your life. You want to be free sometime.
Let's get it, brothers and
So
sisters.
let's get this.
Let's
Let's
get it.
do it. Let's get
In
this information.
conclusion, because I know let's wrap it up here. In conclusion, that was a lot. I get it. That was a lot, but understand is very much needed. I know it may have went on just a little bit, but in conclusion, now we touched on this just a little bit in the video. Over 500 years ago, after Abraham, Joshua led the Israelites out of the desert to inherit the promised land. Yahuwah knew that the Israelites were immature in their faith and easily distracted from worshiping the one true Elohim. You can find it in Exodus 32. Before the Israelites had even entered Canaan, Yahuwah warned them not to participate in Moloch worship and repeatedly told them to destroy those cultures that worship Moloch. The Israelites didn't heed Yahuwah's warning. Instead, they incorporated Moloch worship into their own traditions, and that was the fatal mistake, and obviously still is. Moses was given the commandments on the mount, and the first 3 are in full effect till this day. Let's read them. Exodus 20, verses 3 through 5. First 3 are still in effect to this day. Exodus chapter 20, where you can find the 10 commandments, verses 3 through 5. Let me read them here. Verse 3 says, "You shall have no other Elohim before me." And that's a little e. So that means no other little g God before me. Verse 4, you shall not make unto you any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Verse 5, you shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah Elohim, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children until the 3rd and 4th generation to them that hate me. Now you wonder why the foot is still on the necks of the Hebrew Israelites to this day. This is why. Some may say, "Oh, you cruel for saying that." I didn't say it. This comes from the word. If you serving another God,
this is what happens.
this is what happens.
It's punishment.
Punishment.
It's judgment.
Judgment.
That's what it is.
It is what it is.
If you tell your children not to do something, they go out and they do whatever they want to do, you're going to take the keys or you're going to punish them. You're going to give them a punishment. And this is what it is.
That's what it is.
What it is.
So, brothers and sisters, I ask you this question right now today to end this Bible study. Nabia's going to give a few announcements, and she's going to say a prayer, and we're going to release you. I ask you a question. So now, due to all the information you just gathered, which God
You will
you
serve.
will serve? All yours,
Think
Nabia.
about it. Okay. I just wanted a few announcements just to let you know that we still have the website so you can visit and glorylightministry.info.com. What's it? It's not .com. It's .info, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Glorylightministries.info.
So you can go up on there. You can get your books and stuff like that, and get your cups and things like that. But I also wanted to let you know that we would like to pray for some people. Recently, Greg lost his grandmother, our grandmother, and great grandmother.
That's my
That's
grandmother.
your grandmother. Your grandmother. That's right, grandmother. So we'll be leaving this next week. And we just want to pray for our family. We ask that you all pray for us, lift us up in prayer and the families and that sort of stuff, because we're going to need prayers. We travel those highways and byways. Okay. And I just want to pray real quick for you all.
All right, let's surrender.
Let's just pray.
Bow your
Father,
heads.
Most High, we come boldly before your throne of grace and mercy. We ask that you would cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Father, we ask that you would begin to draw the people into you so they will understand that you are the true Elohim and there's no other. And anything that is not of you, Father, that you would deliver them and cast it out of them.
Yes.
And Father, we ask that you would shine your light upon them so they would come out of darkness into your glorious, marvelous light. Father, we ask that they're blessed going out and blessed coming in and blessed going out, that they have more than enough information, and that you would not withhold any good thing from them. And Father, we ask that you would give them the spirit of wisdom, Father, Most High, that they would know what they know, so that they won't be deceived or misled, and that the truth will make them all free. In the mighty name of Yahushua HaMashiach, I pray. Amen.
Amen. So once again, next week, we don't know what we're teaching next week until the Ruach give it to us.
That's right.
So once again, what do we say? The water for tuning in and shalom.
Shalom. Bye-bye.